It's time for week 5. We ready? All right. Well, last week, one of those things hit that I gave out on the patreon.com/NFL Pick 6. That's where you want to go for Billy and I's gambling picks. As we said on the recap show, if you guys listened, it's coming. It's coming. We're going to be hitting these things. We have never had a season that we had more losses than wins, and I don't mean like, oh, well, yeah, we had one more win than a loss for the year. We've always been very, very good. So with this wacky season, I have no excuses. I will never give you an excuse. Well, if this guy did this, we win. Such as if the kicker makes the kick in the Jets game, we win multiple fucking bets. I won't use that as an excuse. Shit happens, because when it goes the opposite way, I'll go, you see? They're supposed to win. Of course they won. So I don't use the excuse of woulda, shoulda, coulda. The outcome's the outcome. Whatever. It is what it is. And we move on to the next. So we will get into this week's game, starting with Thursday Night Football. The Bucks going to Atlanta. The spread is only 1.5 here. You know, the Bucks are 3-1. God knows how the hell they lost to Denver. They had no business to lose to Denver, but they did. So going on from there, then they destroy Philly last week. It was a beating. They went into Detroit prior to this, killed Detroit in Detroit. It's crazy. So if they don't lose to Denver, I think everybody's looking at Tampa Bay like they're a Super Bowl contender, but I think that put the stop to it just by losing that one game to Denver, because it's such a what the fuck is that against a garbage team. 1.5 points. Atlanta is favored by 1.5 points. Sure, it's a division game. Sure, it's in Atlanta. I think the Bucks win this fucking game. I might be happy enough to take a money line with this game. I'm not saying this is my official picks. Obviously, you have to go to patreon.com/NFL Pick 6 for that. But I'm very surprised by this. And I would assume it's only because this is a home game. But it was a goofy win last week when they beat the Saints, which every time they play them and the Saints, you could flip a coin. So I'm not going crazy with, oh, look, they dominated or anything like that. So, I'm kind of happy with the Bucks here. Going into jolly old England, and my colleague there, Mr. Billy Botti, he'll be going to Wembley or wherever the fuck they be playing, and he'll be looking at the pitch and wearing a Packer jersey while the Vikings and the Jets are playing, as he goes up to Mr. Rogers and calls him a pureblood. How do you like that accent? It's pretty good. I can do England pretty well. The Jets are going to quote-unquote Minnesota, but this is in England. Now we start these England games going each week for a little while. The Jets are 2-2, as I said earlier. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Fucking field goal made. Although, you know what? They had no business even having it come down to a field goal. They're in New York playing a garbage Broncos, and they could barely move the ball. Rodgers is not on time with his receivers. Maybe they end up getting Devontae Adams. It looks like Rodgers doesn't like the head coach, Saleh, very much either. I mean, the guy goes to hug him, and he, puts his hand, pushes him away. And so it doesn't look that happy in New York. So maybe it'll be happier in jolly old England, because they're jolly over there, even though it's always overcast. But we will see what goes on when it comes to those guys, if they get better, because it's getting ugly. But maybe they will get Devontae, because I know they'll be doing the wish list. And I don't know, when you're always targeting one guy, I really don't know how it ever works, because You go, all right, well, we're putting 2 on him. If everybody else is shit and you can't get the ball to anybody else, well, we just shut this whole thing down. But Minnesota 4-0, they went in. I am shocked that I thought I was a genius last week. I'll tell you guys that flat out. I thought I was brilliant, and apparently I'm not, because I see when they are going into Green Bay, and I thought these things would completely change when it had the point spread. Billy had said, no, they already knew he was going to play. That's why the points didn't change. I don't know if I buy that too much, because hearing the professional guys, they were way in on also thinking that it was going to jump up. So who knows? But it was 2.5 when we got it, and it jumped a whole to 3. And it's like, what the hell? And then they go out there and get whooped by Minnesota. Like, it was a beating until it started catching up. And then Packers start to move a little bit and start to get better. And it was like, holy shit, like Minnesota escaped with their life at the end there. Because, Dookie Love, this is what this guy seems to do. He is very, very good from ahead almost. He's very good, but if it comes down to crunch time, that's when Dookie Love shows up and he ends up throwing a pick in the fucking end zone instead of a win, shit like that. But Minnesota's 4-0. Hey, got to give it to him. I'm still waiting for Darnold to turn back into a pumpkin. I'm waiting for it. It's one of those guys that you've just seen be bad for so long, and you're shocked that he's good. Now, I don't know if, that's the Kyle Shanahan rub, because that's what the hell always happens with, it's a 49er. They know how to run an organization. They know what they're doing over there. So maybe they trained him correctly and got the best out of him, and now he's flourishing. I wish him the best to be able to do that. I mean, it's in my division, so maybe I don't. But, McCarthy's going to be there replacing him. So, they didn't draft him for nothing. So that's going to be interesting when McCarthy is healthy next year, if this continues for Sam Darnold. Or if they're like, we don't believe it. It might be a 1-year deal, 1-year wonder again, too. But this is 2.5 points Minnesota is giving. Like we said, there's no real home field advantage because it is overseas, and they both have to travel there. New York has a little bit of a less of a travel. It's only by like 2 hours, maybe 2 hours. But I think the Jets are at a point where it is make or break. And they need this. They need this win. They don't need to win by points. They need to win. So I'm leaning a little bit toward the Jets here when it comes down to it. Going on to Carolina, going into Chi-Town, my town, Chicago, Illinois. Carolina 1-3, and that one win was with the Red Rifle over there, old Andy Dalton with his resurgence, because we know Bryce Young having a hard time of it. They got a professional quarterback who went in there, and all of a sudden they won a game. They made a little bit of a game out of it with the Bengals. I had them in a teaser with 10 points. That was a wash because it was 10 points, so you get your money back. Didn't lose anything, at least there. And they're going into Chicago, who won against the Rams last week. And I hear certain people, they're like, oh, whatever, that was not a real win. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I watch these games, and I'm like, yeah, that was a real win. It wasn't like shit was given to them, and they did pressure the quarterback, causing fumbles, causing interceptions. They drove down the field. I'm like, I don't know how this is not a real win, but okay, if that's what people want to say, guess what? In the betting categories, for Billy, that was a real win. He got his Bears bet, and the Bears got a win. So this is 3.5. Carolina is not as bad anymore as they were before. I'm leaning more for Chicago here. It started off at 4, went down to 3.5. This is a real weird game because if people know things, as in Carolina, at least the management, the players don't give a shit. The management of Carolina wants to win this game badly. They want to win this game like it's their Super Bowl. And they really have no control over this when it comes down to it. It's not like they could tell them, hey, you guys need to fight for this organization because we look like fucking assholes and we look like fools because they duped us in trades and they got DJ Moore from us and now they got Caleb Williams because of us, and we're assholes who gave away our first pick and then shit the bed with a rookie quarterback and gave them another first pick, so, and then it was like, they traded other picks. Like this year's their second round pick is theirs too. Chicago has Carolina's second round pick. So this means more to obviously obviously it means more to the corporate people than it does to the players. So that is what is going on with that. However, it's hard to trust at this point. I'm still not trusting the offensive line for shit, although Carolina has shitty defensive line. But I'm also not trusting the offensive coordinator for the Bears either. So take that for what it's worth, but I would lean Chicago. Arizona goes into San Francisco or Santa Clara, wherever that stadium actually is. Arizona got the shit beat out of them by Washington, but it seems everybody's getting the shit beat out of them by Washington. And I don't want to hear the Bears picked the wrong fucking guy, because I bet you Daniels would suck in Chicago because of the fucking offensive coordinator. And I'm waiting for him to turn into RG3 anyway. And I just think he's built slight. Like I'm waiting for a 300-pounder to land on him on a sack. And there might be some problems. He just does not look like he is built to last with this. But it's very possible, you know what, that the first two picks in the NFL draft end up both being very good. Imagine that. So Arizona gets killed. They're 1-3. San Francisco, they kill New England. So now they're 2-2. San Francisco's favored by 7.5. When the two of these teams play, it is very close. After Arizona, got embarrassed like that, that 7.5 is always scary to me, because literally, like you could say on almost every bet, you could do the stupid thing. Oh, I could see it happening. I could see them barely winning, and I could see them blowing them out. Yeah, well, sure. But this might be something you might want to sprinkle a little tease on. Both directions, actually. You could sprinkle a tease for the Niners to bring that thing down where they just got to win, or you could jack up those points and take it with Arizona. They're always playing close. If this was in Arizona, I'd actually be picking Arizona to win. This is the way it is every year with these two teams. It's one of those throw the records out. But I'd be a lot more confident if it was in Arizona, even though there'd be a lot of Niner fans there. We're going to the Rams. We're going from Green Bay. Now, after the Bears just played the Rams, they're going back home and now play division opponent again. So Green Bay, who we just talked a little bit about with Dookie Love with Minnesota, they're 2-2. You don't have to really rehash that. They're going against the Rams, who are 1-3. Obviously, still everybody's injured. Stafford's just fucking good. He's just a good fucking quarterback who knows how to read shit and knows where to go with the fucking ball. He's playing with scrubs and he's still fucking doing it. And he's doing it at a high level. You wait for him to break because now he's at that age where shit's breaking. But it's 3.5 in favor of Green Bay. I actually am kind of leaning more toward the Rams in this game. You heard old Dookie Love say his knee is still fucking bothering him. He's still hurting a little bit. It is a hard thought, because if this is in Green Bay, I'm not even thinking twice about this. I know people are going to travel and be at this Rams game from Green Bay because, that's kind of how these LA teams seem to be, where they get everybody else over there. But I just think for some reason that the Rams could pull this thing out. And it's one of those weird games where you're expecting it completely. You're like, Green Bay's obviously the fucking better team. With Dookie Love being a little bit, banged up here, that really makes you think a little bit about it too. Let's go to Dallas for Sunday Night Football. This is one of those classic matchups. Dallas versus Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is favored by 2.5. Micah Parsons is out. And another D lineman is out of this game, most likely. Actually, they didn't say Parsons out. But he's in a walking boot. He's on a scooter. I don't think he's playing this game. Pittsburgh's 3-1. They lost to fucking Indy last week. I have not bought Pittsburgh. I've said this from the beginning. I'm not buying it. I'm glad Fields is playing. That means the Bears will get a better pick. He gets the fourth round if he plays more than 50% instead of a sixth round. I'm fine with that. Dallas 2-2. I still think Dallas fucking pulls this off. Sure, it'll be rowdy. It'll be in Pittsburgh, but I just think Dallas fucking wins. They're a better team, I think. I think obviously better coached is Pittsburgh because Tomlin's just fucking good. But you can get 2.5 points with this if you want to play around and, tease it so you even get more points so you feel safer than obviously picking money line. I mean, that's just in my own opinion. I think Dallas would win this game. But you have seen Jekyll and Hyde with Dallas, for sure. You've seen where 1 week they're winning the Super Bowl, and the next week you go, fuck, and they beat, Denver. It's shit like that. So take that for what it's worth. Last game of the week, and that is a Monday. That is New Orleans going into Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 4.5 here. New Orleans is 2-2. Kansas City 4-0, as we figured. Hardman's out now. Everybody knows this. His own quarterback took him out after throwing an interception. He blew that guy, his ACL. And obviously I would pick Kansas City to win this. It's in Kansas City. If this was in New Orleans, I am picking New Orleans to win. But, Mahomes, it's like he finds a way. I saw that his stats are the same as, who was it? It was a garbage guy. And it was like, look at this. His stats are the same as this. I saw Daniel Jones was better stats than Rodgers, which is even fucking funnier. But it was, he's got the same stats. And look, this guy's considered shitty. This guy's considered good. But the difference is also if Mahomes has those bad games, when it's down to, it comes down to always, it's kept in the game. They're kept in. And then he's always good for let's pull up our bootstraps and get the winning drive. And that's the difference. He doesn't need to be good all game as long as they hang around. And then if there's a minute left, you're so comfortable with him just that he's going to win. So that's the difference when it comes to that he's having shit numbers other than, okay, watch the final drive and he'll win you the game. Their defense is good now. They're hanging them in. Problem is, back to this fucking receiver thing. Can they get Devontae Adams? I would give up a first and a third if I am Kansas City. What do you care? You're going deep into the playoffs, if not winning the whole thing. You're not going to have some shit record. So you could tell the Raiders will give you this much. It's not like they're going to get some fucking lottery pick. So I think they should try at least to do that. I don't know if, obviously, you want to send them to the Jets or New Orleans he wants to go to as well. But you would get him out of your own, conference. You go, okay, send him to New Orleans, and then you're good with that. But if New Orleans is offering me a second-round pick and Kansas City's offering me a first and a third, I'm taking the first and third. It's not like they got to go, we're going to be hurt when Devontae beats us up and then we can't win the division. You're not close to catching up. So it's not like I'm only 1 year away from getting to, beat Kansas City. So really, you're years away. So that's okay. You can do that and say, well, I got time. So why not give them? It's not going to hurt us. We're still building and developing. So don't be worried about trading it in. Well, back to this game. Kansas City, I think, should win 4.5. Kansas City's not covering shit. So I don't know about this when it comes down to the cover. This will not be on my card at the patreon.com/NFL Pick 6. this will not be on my card unless I decide to tease it. I guess you'll have to sign up to find out. Me and Billy are going to be hitting it big this week. We're going to be nailing it. So make sure you sign up, join up. We're going to make you that money. We'll see you out there.
He could go all